So let's move over to topic two, Monday Night Raw. And you're like, geez, Brett, you're really breaking down all the wrestling. Even the week to week shows. Yes and no. This one's special circumstance just because I happened to be there live. Yeah, on a last minute kind of planning. Raw happened to be local. Got some tickets last week. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. So it was Lady's first time at a wrestling show, so I'll let you guys know her thoughts just briefly because she's not here right now. But she loved it. She seemed to really enjoy, the stuff with Seth. Really got into singing his theme. Yeah, she just really enjoyed it. Enjoyed being in that atmosphere. Similar, she akined it to like a hockey game. Like it's just so different being in that atmosphere with all these like-minded people and that just energy that goes out there. And she was also impressed with just like the viewpoint. Like we weren't super close. I'd say we're like halfway up the bleachers or whatever the hell, the seats. And yeah, just was like, yeah, this is a good vantage point, and like you see everything clearly and hear stuff from the ring, and that made it feel more intense or like legit. So she enjoyed that. Just from a live aspect, we both talked about the commercial breaks and stuff like that. That was a little rough. Pyro scared the shit out of us a few times. But towards the end of the night, I was starting to remember, oh yeah, this guy's got pyro. Oh yeah, this guy's got pyro. So we were able to pick up on those things. But she had a good time. She'd be interested in going again. And yeah, I'm curious to see what her perspective would be like if we were closer or if we were farther. I brought up to her the NXT, or not the NXT, the Impact's Bound for Glory. Being second row for that myself, like that was a whole nother experience in terms of like engagement and immersion and like energy. And granted, that was kind of like a once in a blue moon thing. I highly doubt, at least for a while, they'll be back in the area, which I don't think they will be for right now. As far as their announcements, like that was a pay-per-view. It was really close. Price range was down. That's why I was able to do that. So I don't know the opportunity for something like that where we could sit that close. Obviously, other promotions a little bit more expensive. But I'd be curious just from my brain to be like, would that bring something else forward or bring that extra additional value to her from a energy perspective and an audience perspective? Just a curious thought. But yeah, she had a great time. I had a great time sharing it with her. And yeah, just really fun. Really cool. So let's get into Monday Night Raw, shall we? So I took some notes because I'm crazy while at the event and juggling photos and all that crap. Actually, sidebar. Before we get into Monday Night Raw, we did have our main event taping. And I was like, back in November, I was lucky enough to see Alba Fire do a match. I was able to see Grayson Waller do a match before their call-ups. Maybe we'll see some more NXT people. Did not see any NXT people this time. Obviously, they just had Battleground the night before, so totally get that. They're doing their earned their rest. But we did see two matches. We got to see a little bit of the way represented here as we saw Dexter Lumis take on Akira Tozawa. Dexter picking up the win here, but being a good sport afterwards and shaking the hand of Tozawa before he left. And then we also saw Tegan Nox going against Candice LeRae with Nikki Cross in her corner. We haven't seen Tegan on TV in quite a while, so this was my first time seeing her, and excited to see both of them. I guess they are trying to do a heel persona with Tegan. She seems to have gone to the dark side. So we're trying that out. Both of them did had a great match. Some things didn't seem to connect super duper well at points. Could have just been our perspective of where we were sitting. I'm not sure. But Candice would pick up the win here, and she would leave with Nikki. So main event tapings, nothing super serious there. It's usually shorter matches, but some talents we got to see. Very cool. So we get into Monday Night Raw. New champion Seth Rollins does his intro. does a little promo, gets a whole bunch of fireworks because he's the new champion. He comes down the stairwell, conveniently always next to us, similar to, well, not always next to us, but based on the 2 Raw shows that I've gone to this year, those stairs are pretty popular. Had the Brawling Brutes go down those stairs leading into Survivor Series, and now Seth going down those stairs heading into the arena this time. So we got that. He does a promo. Great. AJ surprisingly comes up and interrupts him, which, you know, hey, the draft happened. What the fuck are you doing here? Congratulates him. Judgment Day interrupts. I will say this, a little inside baseball. It's super obvious to know when the Judgment Day are about to arrive. They pump smoke and fog like a bitch at the entrance. You think the Undertaker is about to rise from the ashes. So that was a little like, I mean, granted, you're supposed to be paying attention to the 2 talking in the ring. I couldn't help myself. I was like, oh, hello. So that kind of spoiled that. Oh, Judgment Day is going to be coming out and interrupting. But they interrupt and set up a tag match for later, teasing their participants. But really cool to see Seth there, especially after just winning the title. Energy in that place was insane. Singing along to his song for most of the night whenever we did have that opportunity. Later on, we would see more insanity from Seth himself in terms of attire. Apparently, this man had a little bit of wardrobe malfunction early on to the night. But cool to see those guys there, and then leading into that tag match was just a nice plus, because obviously AJ is supposed to be over on SmackDown, and get a little plus of him showing up here. Next, we got the Money in the Bank qualifier. We got Ricochet versus The Miz. Holy crap, let's talk about Pyro for a second. So Seth got a lot of Pyro for his championship win, right? Now, granted, I don't watch the program week to week, so I guess I wouldn't be super familiar with like who has Pyro, who doesn't, when does it happen, when does it happen at this point. Just because you watch the premium live events, you only see certain faces, you're not going to see that many. Apparently Ricochet has Pyro, but some of the Pyro's not Pyro. You don't see any fireworks going off or anything like that. It's just a big loud boom out of nowhere, like something exploded somewhere in the back. And yeah, you jump real high. So Ricochet entered, I believe, during commercial break, but great to see him and see him interact with some fans. We had a guy a few rows below us that had a Ricochet shirt, and luckily Ricochet noticed him, pointed him out, gave him a little what's up, so that was cool. But yeah, solid match between these two. Miz on the losing streak, loses here. Ricochet will go to the Money in the Bank. Pretty, I would say, obvious choice. But glad to see him go on to that. I don't know if he'll win. Probably not. But hopefully, you know, Ricochet's been at least used. And I would say in a good way. Obviously, he's not winning, you know, mid-card titles or anything like that, or in the title picture in certain ways. But it's better than just forgetting about him being in the back. So going from this tag team thing with Braun, whether that's done, whether it's not, and then still being used and then put into this Money in the Bank match coming up later in July, just good to see. Obviously he is, with the high flying aspect, he's just a solid hand for that match. So we'll be interested to see what comes out of that match and him later on in the month. Backstage segment with Adam Pearce. I did appreciate this, and this is a little like nitpicky. So I bitched about the draft, right? AJ, what the fuck are you doing here? You're supposed to be on SmackDown. The draft means nothing. I did appreciate Pearce being on the phone with the guy, Triple H, and being like, no, I understand AJ is supposed to be on SmackDown, blah, 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 blah. Like, they acknowledged it. He's not supposed to be here. But, you know, hocus pocus, bingus bongus, we'll put this tag match together. It was a small thing. I appreciate them at least acknowledging, like, no, you are not supposed to be here. And I guess AJ did that as well when he came out for the promo. But from a official standpoint, it was a small thing. I appreciated it. We'll have to see how fast and loose we play with these draft rules. the weeks going forward. Hopefully, I don't know. I know the split rosters is a big debate among the wrestling community of like, yeah, it's the best thing ever. No, it sucks. Like, I see both sides. I see the pros and cons. I personally like 2 separate shows, 2 separate rosters, because it allows for more opportunities for different people. But I also get it from a viewing perspective of like, shit, I only get to see these people on this day. That sucks. Blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. But small thing there. We got Trish coming out, thanking Zoe for her interference. Glad to see Zoe Stark here. We talked about it on the Night of Champions podcast, which you haven't checked that out. You should go check that out. My thoughts and feelings about Zoe being involved in this program, just really quickly. It's great. This elevates Zoe already. Like, you could tell with the crowd, like, they instantly hate her, and she's a, like, credible heel. Like, oh, you did this thing against the person we love. We hate you. Perfect. Established. And I will say, this was the right move. Later on, and granted it could have been just the people behind us, but later on there's some talent where I felt bad, and I kind of almost got a little bit angry of like, God damn it, like, people not having faith in people or knowing who people are, whatever. No comments about that. Everybody just was like, yep, this is Zoe's here and she sucks. And I appreciate that. And sucks in the best way of like, you're a bad guy, I'm supposed to boo you. So yeah, they come out, they do a promo, Becky comes out, I'm angry, let's fight again. Takes care of Zoe real quick, gets in a fight with Trish. Eventually numbers game gets onto her. We thought that maybe somebody was going to save Becky. Where's Lita at? Is she recovering from an injury? I don't know. But no save. We just leave Becky beaten in the corner with a free t-shirt. Hey. Welcome to the low point of the night in this next match that was stupid. We had Indus Sher coming in and beating up the local yokels. No, they're not local yokels. We did have one NXT talent in there, big body Javi, and then some guy that looked like Matt Hardy from the 90s, but probably a foot taller. No idea who that guy was. Indus Sher came in, beat up body Javi for a little while. Then the other guy got in there. He got slammed. Then he got the big drop kick combo or leg drop combo. Indus Sher wins. The end. I don't remember the phrase. Look up Night of Champions podcast. I go into Indus Sher there again. And yeah, I think that was the quietest the crowd was. And it was dead silent. That should say a lot. Not good. That happened one other time during the night. I will happily talk about that when we get to there. So, they pick up the win there. Then we had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens coming out to a heroic applause and reception. They're doing a promo. Imperium comes out. We randomly get a Baldy chant for Giovanni Vinci, which kind of sucked. And it was like, oh, come on, show some respect to this man. And then we got Shoosh. We got the Alpha Academy in there. They fought against Imperium. Unfortunately lost. I hope Otis is okay. He went for the Caterpillar. Seemed like he kind of might have tweaked his knee towards the end of there. He didn't really get up super smoothly, but finished the match fine. Hopefully he's okay. Yeah, Imperium would win here. A little bit of shenanigans throughout as Valhalla would come out from the Viking Raiders and chase away Maxine Dupree and scare Kevin Owens at one point. Okay, are we setting something up with Academy and the Raiders? Fine with that. Question. I thought the gimmick or the story here was Dupree was trying to steal Otis. But now they're all buddy-buddy. Like, what happened to Maximum Male Models? Are they just MIA? Just an interesting thing. Like, seems like they're a new trio. So, we had that. Before that, we had a Katana Chance and Caden Carter vignette, so hopefully we'll see them soon on the Monday Night Raw roster, doing some fighting and stuff. We got a backstage segment, Dean Raquel and Shotzi with damage control. They got a little pot shot into Bayley saying she hasn't won any titles since she's joined the group. And then we got the fatal 4-way for the women's tag titles. I will say, Shotzi's entrance, awesome in person. Seeing the tank, I totally forgot the tank shot out fireworks. That scared the shit out of me. But the match was great. Match was great between the four of them. I will say each of the teams did very, very well. They got a decent amount of time. We got some dives from Shotzi, which was great. Kind of reestablished her. Io and Bayley looked strong. Bayley came in with a save at one point, and everybody was very happy with that. Ronda and Shayna did a little bit more than their WrestleMania match, but not a whole lot. And Chelsea and Sonya played their roles fantastic. I think Chelsea at one point was scared and tagged out, and then that was another moment. If we're going to circle back to the NXT thing with Braun Breaker, Spear, and Mello, I almost thought a miracle was going to happen. I knew Papa Griff was cheering for Green and DeVille. I thought they were going to pull this one out of their ass for a second. We had Chelsea hit the Unprettier, I believe on, I don't know if it was Shotzi, it was somebody. Hits the Unprettier. Sonya hits her like running Shining Wizard type thing. I thought that was the end. It wasn't the end. And I was like, we're still going with this. Crap. So eventually, we get this Tower of Doom spot. Ronda is up top with... Oh, crap. Who was at the top of the tower? I don't remember. But Ronda was involved, and Shotzi ends up pulling both of them down, power bombing them. Shotzi should have gone for the damn cover. But no, instead, she's like, yo, I gotta get my inner Darby Allin out of here, and I gotta coffin drop this bitch. Goes up to the top, gets a little bit distracted by Shayna, or maybe that was before, I'm wrong. Goes up there, does the coffin drop, gets caught in an armbar, and taps out immediately. And then we all sit there with our heads in our hands going, God damn it. I think the guy next to me was happy. Good for him. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. But yeah, this was another moment of the crowd was very quiet. It wasn't as quite dead quiet as Indishare, but it was another, I'd say, pretty bleh moment for the crowd. Ronda did get some reaction when she did come out. Some people were very stoked on that. But yeah, afterwards, it was just, comparatively to the rest of the night, crowd was out of this. So, congrats to them. I get it. They're homies. It's just, I don't know. There's no build here. There's no story or anything. It's just like, yeah, it's happening because it's happening, and fuck it. Maybe we'll get lucky enough to have Shayna turn on her. I don't. Don't give me that hope. I don't know. I think it's a lost cause at this point. I just, like, Ronda, I get it. I get why Ronda's a draw. She should be a draw. For some reason, there's just that disconnect of whether it's her linking up with wrestling and, like, getting it down super fluid or not understanding it or whatever it is. And it's just, like, it's one of those projects that's fell flat. And Shayna, granted, that was under different management, should have been the same thing. She came in, great momentum, we killed it. We haven't done anything special with her. I won't say we haven't done anything with her, but I don't feel we've done anything special with her. She's been a 2-time tag champ. Now she's 3-time, twice with Nia Jax. Like, I don't know. Who are they going to run with, Carter and Chance? That seems to be the only opposition because, well, we know the women's tag team roster is a lot of made-up teams or, like, thrown-together teams, which is unfortunate. It's like, if you want this to be a real division, you kind of have to build that division. And I don't know if it's a like, if it's a wrestler specific thing of like, oh, I don't want to be a tag team wrestler, or if it's a management thing. I'm going to lean towards that one because obviously their say is final. It's rough. I guess they're going to go with Carter and Chance. I think Carter and Chance should get a chance because they're a team that's been together for years, and they can show it in the ring. They have tag team maneuvers. They have chemistry. If they don't go against Ronda and Shayna, I think at least they should be used. Obviously, we got the vignette this week, and be shown as like a viable contender, and then eventually we can get to that point. I don't know if they would win because, well, they're like a Ricochet level where they're not that, in comparison, that athletic, but they're like that fast team that does acrobatic stuff, and going against the two bruiser submission type, if they get locked down, that could be a little bit, not a squash, but it might be a tougher mountain to climb. So we'll have to see. And then, we'll have to see what goes on with the NXT women's tag team belts over on SmackDown. Like, are those going back to NXT? Are we merging them together so it's like the men's titles? I'd be fine with that, but that's only because we haven't built this division up. Like, so if it's cross-branded, at least there's potential for more options there. But time will tell. We still have no idea what's going on with those. But it doesn't seem like they're staying in NXT because they didn't get relinquished or lost. And NXT also doesn't have any tag teams via the call-ups. Toxic Attraction is no more because reasons. Oh, Mandy's going to go do her own thing? Sure, let's break up this team. What do you mean? They were supposed to go on the main or they were on the main roster and they were good just because Nikita didn't want to get vaccinated or didn't get vaccinated. And that's a whole other conversation. Sorry. So we'll have to see what goes on there. But yes, new champs. No surprise. After this, we got a count out victory, I think, or a disqualification. We had JD McDonough going against Dolph Ziggler. Cool to see McDonough. A little follow-up from their Battle Royale skirmish fight afterwards. JD kind of whiffed his finisher. He does that pull-up off the mat and then into the back suplex. Looked rough, didn't look great. And then we went outside and we beat up Dolph. And we either got counted out or disqualified. We beat him up against the stairs. Crowd did not like this one in terms of they were booing a lot, which is great. The people around me are like, what was that? Who's this guy? This sucks. And then the comment I hated the most, he's going to be on the main event in 6 months. It's like, bro, I get it. Main event's not the most exciting, but it's there for a reason. It's there to establish people. And it just was this moment of like, I've heard other podcasts talk about this, and I've even probably talked about it on this podcast, of like the mainstream audience not knowing anybody in NXT or giving a flying fuck about anybody in NXT. And like, you have to build this relationship between the audience and the superstar. And it's like, oof, man. Like, I was just like, I'm so tempted to be like, you guys should check out NXT. Go check out this match. Go check out this match. La, la, la. And the same thing happens with Bronson Reed, which might have been the next match. It wasn't. We're going to skip ahead. We're going to skip to Bronson and Nakamura. The two did a great job. We had back and forth. It's kept Bronson safe in his first loss, pretty sure, or at least first pin loss. Nakamura had to hit multiple Kinshasas. I was hoping for Bronson to win here just because that different dynamic, especially with only 2 qualifiers so far, of Ricochet, Bronson, Money in the Bank, different styles. I thought that'd be cool. But, like, comments were like, you think their pay-per-view sales are gonna, Bronson Reed's gonna put up pay-per-view sales and like, oh, this guy sucks and blah, blah, blah. It's like, guys, please, come on. Go and watch his NXT stuff. He took a little while to get established as Thick Boy when he was a good guy. And then he eventually got over. He won the North American Championship. He wasn't there for super long because stupid budget cuts. But then he went over to New Japan as Jonah, and he killed it over there. Like, What? Yeah, yeah, Elimination Chamber too. I was like, what are we talking about? Come on. I don't know. I don't know. And granted, it's a small bubble. It's like Twitter. It's only the people who really are angry at stuff or just like stirring the pot. You know, it's the vocal minority, whatever it is. It's just like, why? Why? Why are we so negative? If you're not, well, okay, hold on, because I was negative about IndusShare, so you know, pump the brakes there. Me, don't be an asshole. Like, ugh, it's just frustrating. It was just frustrating. That was all. So before the whole Bronson thing, we did have some stuff. We had Cody come out with his promo of like, I broke my arm, but I lost to Brock Lesnar, but not really, because I didn't tap out. Sure. Promo aside, Cody's got insane energy around him. It's a lot of fun singing his theme song, whether the correct lyrics or the BTE lyrics. Fireworks are awesome. Energy in the arena was awesome. He's got a great reception. He's got a lot of backing behind him. He came out there. We're doing probably Lesnar 3 at some point, unless Brock's really on vacation, and then we'll do something else in the meantime. Good promo. Whatever. A thing where the energy of the arena was definitely the more fun part of this aspect. And then we got Bro backstage real quick. Gunther comes over and is like, hey, hope you win that Money in the Bank. Best of luck to you, because then I want you to cash it on me, and I can embarrass the shit out of you. So we're setting up that rivalry there. I don't think they would go the route where Riddle actually wins Money in the Bank and then cashes in on Gunther. I think we're just going to set that up naturally as is. But obviously we get the sowing of the seeds here of something brewing between them. Quick backstage with the tag champs, and Ronda's like, yeah, we're tag champs, and these belts prove it that we're the best and we're most ruthless, yada yada. Okay. Alright, talked about Nakamura versus Reed, and then we got into our main event, and we had Seth Rollins against AJ Styles, with AJ Styles against the Judgment Day. A little bit of hocus pocus, you know, trying to see who was going to be the two that were taking on Rollins and AJ. Seems like it's going to be Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest, but at the last second, Finn rolls in, clocks Seth, and it's Finn and Priest going against Rollins and AJ. Solid main event. They got time. They did great stuff. We got some heel antics with Dominic. We got heel stuff with Rhea. Eventually, they would get thrown out and ejected from the match after Dom got tossed in by AJ at one point after a little bit of an outside scuffle. So they get tossed out. Seth Rollins saves a quick pinfall from Priest with a curb stomp. Gets a second curb stomp, I believe, on Priest, pins him, and the good guys win with 1 minute left in TV time. So, nothing super special in terms of like what actually happened, but the match itself was solid, and we saw the good guys win overall. So, from a match perspective, Raw was a lot of fun. I thought like the flow was really great. We did have the low points. We did have the IndusShare job match, and we did have the McDonough weird count out DQ thingy. But overall, it was a fun night, and I've kind of seen both sides of the spectrum now with back in November, going to the show, getting the go home show for Survivor Series, and then seeing the first show after an event and seeing like the building process. Going into it, I was like, oh, this is going to be a lot of promos, a lot of talking. While we did have promos, they didn't feel that bad. They didn't feel like they took up a lot of time where it kind of dragged on and whatever. I felt this was a good combination of both promos, wrestling, and a lot of good wrestlers that we saw out there and interesting people that we saw. So yeah, it was a great time overall. Like I said, once again, the crowd was great. A lot of energy in the building, good chants, good singing along, whatever it is. I will say props to who do I want to give a shout out to? I want to give a shout out to Bailey specifically. So, Bailey plays this heel character in Damage Control, and she does a fantastic job at it. Where she goes and she'll kind of jab with the audience here and there and kind of taunt them. And she did the same thing here. There was a younger kid, a boy in the front row, and just seeing the two of them just yell at each other during the tag match going on there, it was just highly entertaining. And the kid didn't back down. Good for him. I'm sure he had a blast. The crowd interactions you could see with other superstars as well, obviously during commercial breaks, whether they came out during the commercial break and did their entrance, seeing them interact with people around the arena and around the barriers was just solid, just adds to the experience, obviously for those people one-on-one, but seeing it from a bird's eye view of just like, yeah, that's great. You're really helping, make it just that extra step farther or better of an experience for people was solid. So that was good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really to talk about. I can't think of anything. Solid show overall. We already talked about like what's next here. I feel like they got to set up some kind of defense for Seth between some member of the Judgment Day next. Tag title thing, we got to figure out what's going on with this whole division. I was a little surprised that we didn't get any ladies qualifying matches on this airing of Raw. It was just the 2 men's matches. I thought maybe we were going to do one of each. But next week they did announce Becky versus Sonya, and then Zoe and Natalia, I believe. So we'll probably see that rivalry blow over, at least invade that aspect. Jesus Christ. Invade that match with their angle, which I'm fine for, having stories in the match and hopefully having multiple. So there was that. Yeah, good stuff. Did Cody address the anarchy in the arena? Say if he was still there, the Elite would have beaten the BCC. He didn't mention it. But then again, I will say, with you bringing that up, something with the arenas, I don't know if it was just this experience or whatever. It's hard to tell what they're saying on the microphones. Like, the microphones, it's probably just their audio system. It's so bumped up that, like, they want you to hear it. But sometimes it's hard to tell. Like, I know Kevin did that hilarious rant of like, we didn't even say your name. You're not supposed to be out here. You're not supposed to go anywhere unless they say your music plays, blah, blah. And that was great. But there was a lot of it, like Sammy didn't understand a thing Sammy said. Cody, 50-50. It was a little rough. I would say Seth was probably the clearest. So that kind of sucked, at least from a viewer in the arena. Just being like, I'm getting the gist of what you're saying here, so I will smile and nod and be like, yes, I totally understand what you're saying here. That is a bad point. Oh, that guy's terrible. So, little rough there, I will say. But yeah, that was probably the only big downside. But yeah, really excited, or really glad we took the opportunity to go to the show. This has been kind of the year for pro wrestling. Not the year for talking. It's kind of been the year for pro wrestling for myself. Going to Impact, going to 2 WWE shows, going to an AEW show. Kind of the most events I've gone to in quite a while, and it's been fun. And then, once again, sharing this experience with Lady for her first wrestling show, just to add that extra layer onto the cake, and like something we can share together. So, a lot of fun. Honestly, looking forward to seeing what else comes around this area, if anything. Quick glances, I haven't seen anything. There is stuff that's close. And by close, it's like, that's a 3-hour drive. And I'm like, do I want to hate myself? Probably not. We talked about NXT before. I would have loved to go into Battleground, but just the timing of that unfortunately didn't work out, just because these are talents that typically, obviously, are in a zone, an area in Florida. But yeah, we'll have to see where people are going, whether it's Impact, whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, whatever it might be. Just check it out, have some fun with that, and go from there. But guys, this has been another episode of the Wait Where We Talking About podcast. My name is Brett, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch the podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You get notified when we go live with the streams or the podcast, so you join on the fun and the crazy conversation with us over there. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and puts one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show: likes, subscriptions, reviews, all that fun stuff, whatever it is. It may seem small, does help the channel grow immensely. So if you can take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. But yes, it's another episode of the podcast. A lot of wrestling talk. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If not, there's other ones with topics that you might like on the channel. Check those out. And hopefully get a laugh and enjoyment out of that. But thank you guys so much for watching, giving this a listen, all that fun stuff, and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.